What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Basement Comics. We're going to continue on with our special series of the Countdown to Endgame. So stay tuned. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Basement Comics. I'm Blake. I'm going to be your host. I'm joined today by my friend Austin.
Hello, hello.
Me and him have been going to see these movies for about a year now. And we kind of started our little journey. We went to see Infinity War together. It was kind of a funny thing because when we were going to see it, I had asked him to go with me because I had an extra ticket, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, when we walked in, it was crazy because we walked in and we're like, oh, like there's a lot of people here. And there's, what was he, a producer or something?
No, he was the graphic design guy.
Yeah, this graphic design guy is giving a presentation on basically working on the movie. Because we showed up maybe like 20 minutes early, and you know, he's just giving this whole presentation, giving about like meeting the actors and actresses and doing all sorts of stuff with them.
Saying it was kind of his dream to work on these movies because it's been 10 years now that they started.
And didn't he tell a story about Robert Downey Jr.? I think he told a story like how nice he is to everybody, and I think he like. It was something about like buying lunch or like at like one of their lunches. He was like really, really nice. I think I remember.
Yeah, I think I don't remember exactly what he was saying, but I do remember he was saying something like that, like how he is in movies is basically kind of like
he's just really genuine.
Yeah.
He's a really genuine guy.
Yeah, and what was funny too about that is I remember I said I wanted to ask him after the movie if I could buy his jacket.
Oh, because it had the Avengers patch. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I also remember when you came to the house, it was really funny to me because as soon as you walked in, you literally said, okay, I need a refresher.
Yeah.
And you asked for you literally asked me for a rundown of 10 years of movies. And I was like, yeah, that's not.
Yeah. So like when we went and saw Infinity War, I had not seen all the movies before it. I had seen the main ones. But I wasn't like this guru of like, oh, I need to be a part of this MCU. I need to see all these movies. So when we saw Infinity War, like I fell in love. Like it was just like, oh my God, this like is amazing. Yeah. So I remember I came back and I told Blake, I was like, I'm going to watch all of these movies, like
in order,
so then I can know exactly what's going on. And then within like, I think it was like a 3-week span, I literally watched. I Googled the order, and I watched all the way through in like 3 weeks. Oh, yeah. Just binged watched every movie. Got a 1, 2, 3 movie and binge watched every single one.
That's the greatest movie set ever. But yeah, so yeah, we went to see it, and now we're gonna go this year, of course, for Endgame later today. We're gonna go see. We're gonna go early because we don't want to get mixed up.
Yeah, just in case there's some other kind of presentation. I want to be there.
Cool. Also, we started doing the movie buckets, the popcorn buckets.
Yeah, what do you have, like 4 now?
Yeah.
I didn't get when we first went to, because we've been to, I think we went to Infinity War, we went to Ant-Man and Wasp, and then we went to
Venom,
but it was still a good movie, and then we just went to Captain Marvel.
Yep.
I think there might be one more in between. I think I'm missing.
I had one more in between just because I went and saw Solo, Star Wars Story, and that's the one that I have. But the Ant-Man and the Wasp one's kind of funny that I got because I asked them at Captain Marvel if I could have the bucket.
Yeah, they had like an extra one just
and
full
they were
of like
acting like
trash.
Well, they were like, yeah, I guess you can have it. This is kind of weird. Nobody asked for these. And I'm like, well, I collect them, so. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get started on Infinity War. Of course, it starts out just like most MCU movies where you've got just straight action. I'm pretty sure every movie that I've seen so far with them is just, it starts out with a little bit of action at least. But this one, it starts out with obviously where Ragnarok left off. And
great movie, by the way.
Yes, I said that in my last podcast that Ragnarok's my favorite movie out of them all. But so it starts off with Asgard on the ship that the Guardians gave them, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And they're trying to find a new home, and then obviously we see Thanos comes in and destroys it and kills Loki.
Do you remember the first time, because we had like seen Thanos like throughout these like extra scenes and stuff like that, and it's like, yeah, we know like who he is, but you don't really get like that feeling of like, oh my God, until he turns around in that first scene. You're
Yes.
like,
He's
this
wearing
dude is literally crazy. Like, he's
wearing his
huge. He's got his
armor.
armor, and the way he's talking, like, you just know this dude's a badass. And like, when we first saw it, like, you never thought the movie was gonna turn out the way it did.
No.
Like, you never like, you're like, oh, they're gonna get out of this.
Oh, yeah.
They're gonna do this, and
No,
then
they're not.
It's crazy.
I really like that. I actually do like that they did that to him, where they didn't let them win. More so, not just because it makes it a cliffhanger to where they have to do something like you have to have a second movie. But I'm kind of a fan of those movies where the villain wins sometimes, because
Well, and I think this is a perfect one. I think
Yeah.
Thanos is. I think he's like not relatable by any means, but like people like him. I feel like
Yeah.
if you're a person that likes villains, like you're gonna like Thanos.
Oh yeah, but I don't think that people really like the nutsack chin. I've been seeing a lot of
That thing's changed
a
like
lot of
4
hate.
different times.
Well, and the kind of, it's kind of funny that he's changed multiple times, and the fact that they went from Thanos in the first credit scene that we saw of him, and now we get Josh Brolin.
right.
It's
And he
basically
went
just
from
modeled
this
off him.
hot pink,
Yes.
like reddish, to this
Disgusting color.
lavender purple.
Yeah. Now he's what's that guy's name from the McDonald's commercials? The,
Oh my god, the guy
the
from
Grimace?
the old one. Yeah, with the
Even-
Hamburglar and all that.
He says it in the movie. Peter Quill does when he's gonna shoot him, and he says, "Put her down, Grimace."
Oh yeah.
Dude, that was a great scene. But yeah, this movie too, kind of, I liked that there's a lot of like key hints hidden in here. If you rewatch it, obviously, and see kind of some other things, like when he's talking to Pepper and he tells her that he makes the promise that he's not gonna
Like he'll be
leave.
back.
Yeah, and if you're a huge fan, I said it in the Iron Man podcast I did, Iron Man 3. He kind of has that. This is kind of relating to the Endgame trailer.
Right.
He has the same thing he tells her, and he said it multiple times over the movies. And in Iron Man 3, he tells her over a video call through the helmet, which is what he does in Endgame trailer. He tells her that he has to stop the bad guy and he can't come home.
Yeah,
till
and he
does.
just feels like he has to save the world, like you said.
And he feels like he's got this responsibility on his shoulders, and so we can see that in the next scene after Thanos has attacked the Asgardians, because he's wearing the chest piece that he doesn't need.
Yeah,
and
and
Pepper
they're
brought it
talking
up.
about it. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
literally talking about it.
And he told her
until-
it's a storage for spare parts.
Yeah, yeah.
A normal person would just have a toolbox, Tony.
I don't know, but you can see not the fear, but like the worry of Iron Man when he finds out from Doctor Strange like what's going on.
Yeah, well, and I think more so he gets more of a feel for what's going on, because he's never met Doctor Strange.
Right,
He's never
and-
met any
yeah.
of them before, and he doesn't even know that this cult exists. And when he gets told by Doctor Strange that this is happening, and then he really gets the feeling of what's happening when he finally sees Bruce, which he hasn't seen in, how long has it been since he left the first time? I think he left in the Quinjet in the Avengers.
Yeah, and Ultron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, was it Ultron or was it the
No,
Avengers?
he was in Ultron because that's when they fought
Yeah,
with the big
yeah.
suit.
And he left in the Quinjet to take it away or whatever, or he.
Yeah, he just left.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. And so.
Black Widow was trying to contact him.
and he was gone and that's been what, 3 years?
Yeah, at least.
And so Tony hasn't seen him and I don't know what the time lapse is in the movies, but Tony hasn't seen him for us 3 years, and so
Yeah.
it's kind of a reigniting of friendship, and at the same time he's kind of like, holy shit, it's great to see you, and this must be a true thing. If you're telling me this, I believe you, kind of thing.
Right. And then it's kind of it's not ironic, but he gets connected with the Hulk, Bruce
Yeah.
Banner, and then he has to get reconnected with Captain America. Like he wants to
Yeah.
make that phone call, but obviously like we know what happens next when
The burner phone, and he can't.
yeah. But he wants to get connected, and it's kind of like it's pretty cool how they kind of bring all the characters back.
Yeah.
Because it seems like they all got separated, and for Infinity War they had to bring them back because of
Mm-hmm.
Thanos, and which is cool.
Well, I going off of that, I noticed that when he had the phone, this kind of ties into the end of Infinity War when we see the pager from Nick Fury. You can't actually see him press the button, but I think that he actually did call Cap but didn't talk to him. Like he pressed the button, and as soon as he pressed talk, the Black Order showed up. And so I think that's the reason why Cap actually goes to find Vision, because we don't actually see Cap saying we need to find Vision. He just finds them.
Right, yeah, because he just kind of pops up.
Yeah, so I think Tony actually got that phone call out and put it in his pocket so that Cap could hear what's going on.
Yeah.
And so he heard the fighting happening and knew, we need to get some people together.
So let's talk about Black Order real quick, because I want to talk about, I don't know his name, the main, like the assistant to Thanos.
Yeah, the telepathic guy.
Let's talk about how powerful that guy actually is.
He's insane.
Like, I think, and it's kind of corny, but it was like funny when what movie did
Alien
reference? Yeah, Alien, where they blow the hole in the spaceship and he sucks him out, and that's how he goes.
Compressed.
Yeah, like that guy like could do everything. Like he was throwing like huge amounts of earth like through the streets, was taking Doctor Strange's body, like flying everywhere. Like that guy was like underrated, I think.
Oh, definitely.
At least.
Well, and that's a thing that I think the MCU does a lot. Like Drax the Destroyer, he in the comics, he can actually he's like mixed between Superman and Goku in the comics. He can fly, he has telepathic abilities, he can shoot hyper beams out of his hands, and in the movie they make him a guy who every now and then can launch somebody through a wall, but other times his punches are just normal. And so I think they kind of doled him down in the Black Order just because I don't really know why. In my personal opinion, I think he probably could have survived going out into space.
I mean, yeah, you would think, but
or he could have stopped. If he can float, I think he could have stopped himself from getting sucked out, but that would have taken away from the surprise element, which I actually really liked that scene. I thought that was awesome that's the way they took him out. But I kind of feel like, I don't know, he's a little bit too powerful to have had that happen
scene too
to
is
him.
funny because that's when the Guardians meet up with Iron Man and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah, when they crash on Titan.
Yeah, and they like they think like Spider-Man's like this crazy alien.
Calls him a clown.
Yeah. That part's funny too. But going on from this scene here, the one where Captain America is talking, or they want to call Captain America. The part where Captain America shows up and kind of like carries, kind of like saves Vision, saves, what's her name?
Natasha Romanoff?
No, the girl with Vision. What's her? That's her.
Or no, that's Black Widow. Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet, yeah. The suit that he comes out in, that all black.
Yes, with the slick back hair and the beard.
Yes, that's it. That scene was sick too.
My dude.
He comes out, the subway's kind of passing, you can't see him, and then he just pops up, and he comes in, and then it's with him, Black Widow, and then he's also with who else?
Falcon.
Falcon, yeah.
But yeah, Captain America is, he's right on up there with my favorite characters. I'd still say Thor is definitely my favorite character, but going off of the scene where he's standing behind the train, I just like how they always bring him in with that, like, and it's really cool too because we haven't seen him since Civil War.
Yeah.
And he disappears at the end of Civil War after rescuing Ant-Man, Hawkeye, and Falcon from the prison cell that's floating out in the ocean. And so we haven't seen him for a long time. Obviously, he gets his new suit. He gets the hair and the beard. But that's really cool to me as a comic book guy because in the there's comics, the Secret Wars, where when he separates after Civil War, it's a variation where he gets the black suit and they go do side missions.
Oh, okay.
And so that was kind of cool to me because that's kind of one of those things where it's like he's been gone since Civil War and that's been a few years. So maybe he's been doing some other stuff on the side, him and his team. It made me kind of think about that. And then also when he showed up on the step or whatever on the other side of the train after it passed, it was kind of one of those tingly feelings because you see him standing there and you're like, oh, I know who that is.
Shit. Yeah.
And then as soon as the train moves and he steps forward, she throws the spear at him and he catches it and you're just like, oh my god. This dude's insane.
We-
He's just so awesome to me because he's a human. He's literally human
Yeah,
in
just
every
with
way.
super strength.
He's just the epitome of what humans can
like
get
their
to.
max level.
Yeah, and so like, it really hits you that he is strong and that he can face titans just off of his abilities because and it kind of shows that humans almost don't have a limit because when
Well, they say like you only use 10% of your brain.
yes,
Like,
and so maybe I mean I'm not saying he uses more because obviously he isn't super smart, but
but I mean, they have the same serum from Hulk.
yeah.
So I mean, like
Well-
he is the epitome of like a max level human, but he also does have like HGH in him, like
Yeah.
some kind of enhancer.
Yeah.
But he's still like, I would say the least. I mean, besides Iron Man, because Iron Man is like Robert Downey Jr. His character is actually human. Like he's just a smart guy. So like he could technically just die.
He actually this is a little side note too for Iron Man. He has a power. I think that he actually does have his level of genius gives him
Powers.
a power
I guess.
because
I mean, yeah.
he's a and then in Hawkeye says it in Civil War when they get locked up. He's a futurist. He and Thanos are the type of people who can't live in the present. They can only fear the future. And so Tony's the type of person that if you've noticed, if he loses, doesn't lose again. He learns from that one mistake, like when he first flies, the icing problem solves it immediately. And he doesn't walk, he just runs with everything he does. And so he fails, done. He never fails again. So to me, I think his power, he's a human for sure, but I think that his genius level actually gives him
I mean, that makes sense because if you think about it, like somebody that could like shoot beams out of their hands, like he can't do that naturally.
No.
He made that ability.
Yeah.
So like he made himself have a power.
Yeah.
Like flying, he couldn't do that, but he made himself have a power. So
Yeah.
like I agree with you that like his mind is
Is
kind of like a
his power.
superpower.
Yeah.
And like he doesn't get the abilities of
No.
anybody else. But
No,
his
he's-
mind is just
It's-
as strong.
His
strong.
his
as
mind
everybody
would
else.
almost be like using 90% of our brains compared to
Right.
10, and that kind of gives him an advantage to plan for the future. But yeah, so where were we at?
I wanted to talk about Vision
Yes.
because we haven't seen him in this part since Age of Ultron,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. No, we saw him in Civil War at the end fight. He was in Civil War at the end fight at the airport when he was facing off.
Oh, when
Against
Spider-Man pops up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we haven't seen him since Civil War though. They disappeared.
I think the same thing that you talked about earlier with Drax.
How they underpower people.
Yeah, I think that is another.
I do too, just because of the entire Infinity War. He's kind
of like helpless.
Well, in Civil War, when they're like playing around, picking up Thor's hammer and everything, nobody can do it except for Thor, obviously. And Captain America comes close just because of his righteousness. He makes it budge.
Yeah.
But Vision, when they need to go fight, literally picks it up. And he picks it up and then just hands it to him. And so this kind of shows you that either he's just because he's a biotic being, he can pick up the hammer, or B, he's that strong because obviously he is an Infinity Stone.
Yeah, and in the movie, he's just, I don't know. He should have been used way more.
Yeah.
In this fight, and I think they didn't do that because of his powers.
Yeah.
Because he was literally like this, and they were obviously trying to protect him because he was the last stone that he didn't have. So they didn't want to like put him in harm's way, and just if he gets hit and he just loses his stone. So they were trying to protect him, and also that they were trying to get it out of him.
Yeah,
which was a good
time.
strategy, like to just destroy it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they could have, if they would have taken this movie a different way, I think he would have been a bigger role.
Yeah.
If they were trying to win the fight rather than play it safe.
Yeah.
I think it would have been different. I think he would have had a bigger part. He would have, because he's smart too.
Yeah.
And he knows a lot. Like
Well, he is Jarvis.
Right,
He's
yeah.
essentially the internet.
Yeah. So like
Downloaded
I think
onto him, so.
they could have used him more.
Yeah, that was one of my big things with it is because so when they had when they had Vision show up, I thought it was going to be, an awesome thing that like they were going to show him, and then there was either going to be a fight because Thanos was looking for the stones, so obviously the Black Order was going to get to him, or he was going to find everybody else, and then somehow he was still going to try and get the stone from him. But like I was saying in the other movies, he's super strong when we first see him, and he's able to take down Ultron like it's nothing.
Yeah, like.
And then, like I was saying with Drax, this is one of the things that I think the MCU does on purpose to show you how strong this enemy is. You know what I'm saying? Like the MCU, the directors wanted you to see how powerful and how much you should fear Thanos and the Black Order. So you got Vision, who we know is strong, and they want you to kind of have that effect when he gets defeated super easy.
Yeah.
And so I think they did a really good thing of that.
Yeah, that
just
was
showing
good.
that.
I understand what you're saying.
Because like at first you think, well, Vision's stronger than that. Why did he just get his ass kicked that easy? And then you think, well, maybe they're that strong.
Well, yeah, they're trying to portray that Thanos is better.
Yeah.
And I mean you got a good point. I do want to talk about the scene coming out here, this Guardians of the Galaxy scene in Nowhere, where they all come up and Thanos is looking for which stone is he looking for? I don't remember.
Well, in my opinion, I don't know if he knows which ones he's looking for. Yeah,
no,
there's two there, because at the end of Thor 2, in the end credit scene, they drop off the Reality Stone out of the ether, and they drop it off at the Collector, and he's saying that this kind of ties in later. He tells him that he's looking for all 5 stones.
Is that when he has the dog and like the little
Cosmo?
Is it
Cosmo,
the dog?
the space dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got Cosmo, the space dog. Just like I pointed out in my last podcast with Thor, he's got Beta Ray Bill, which is a big character that I wish they would have probably brought in more. He was in Ragnarok on the tower with the faces, and then he's got Howard the Duck.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
who's played by
that.
Seth Rogen. Seth Green? No, not Seth. It's Seth Green. Right? The guy from Pineapple Express. Yeah, he plays him in the.
No, that's Seth Rogen.
Is it Seth Rogen?
No, it's not Seth Green. Seth Green's the guy from like.
From Robot Chicken.
Yeah.
So Seth Rogen plays him in a scene where you see Howard the Duck actually sitting talking to a girl in a club here in Nowhere. I don't remember what movie that's from, but yeah. So when I saw them going to get the stones or to see if they could get the stone from the Collector, I honestly thought he had more. Because he's been wanting these stones, and so he had the Power Stone and the Reality Stone by this point.
Thanos, right? Yeah.
No.
Oh no, you're talking about the Collector.
But the Power Stone was taken from him and given to the Nova Corps on Xandar, and as we learn, which this part
Thanos, like they didn't explain that one, right?
Yeah, he did, or no, somebody explained it later on to them.
Yeah.
But so the Nova Corps had it, and if you know the comics, Nova Corps is kind of like the Green Lantern Corps of Marvel, and they've got characters named Nova, is each person, I guess. And these people are in the comics are like obscenely strong characters. But as we see them in the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Nova Corps is just regular people on the planet Xandar. But he explains later that he wasted Xandar. He laid waste to it to get the Power Stone.
Yeah.
And so by this point, he has the Power Stone and the Space Stone.
And what I don't like, it's cool, but it's like almost unfair about this scene is when they come up and he has the Reality Stone.
Oh, yeah.
So he can literally make anything happen.
He made Nowhere look like it
better
was,
than it was not on fire.
Yeah,
like,
but he didn't put anybody in it. So when they're flying in, they're thinking it's kind of weird that it's empty. But to me, it's almost unfair that he even has one of them. As soon as he had the Space Stone, he was able to travel anywhere in space at any given time. So,
and then he could change anything that you see.
Once he had the Reality
Stone.
Stone.
Anything that you think.
Yep.
He can just make different. And that's what's crazy. It's like he's already the strongest.
Oh, yeah. As soon as he had the Space Stone,
like,
he was the strongest, probably one of the strongest beings in the universe, just because he is a son of Celestials, the big creatures you see explained in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's the son of these things, or the creation of them, which that's the comics. I don't know how the Marvel universe explained him on cinematic, but the comics, he's the son of Celestials, so he's already a super powerful being. And then he gets the Space Stone. And then when he gets the Power Stone is used to just destroy planets. And I'm pretty sure he already had the Power Stone in the beginning of the movie.
What is so? Well, yeah, because
He
he
had
already
the
had
purple
one.
one.
Because that's what they explain
Destroyed
later.
and he destroyed the ship with
Yeah.
it.
And
then
then
the
that's
Space
when he
Stone.
gets
Yeah, so it was just
the
already
Tesseract,
unfair.
and then now he comes to get the Reality Stone. What I don't like, he only uses it once. Like, it just blows my mind that he could just do anything.
Yeah.
At this point, like anything.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't even need the other three. He only needs the other three because that's what he wants.
Well, he only needs the other three because to be able to do what he's wanting
Fast.
it has to have that much juice in his gauntlet.
Yeah. But when they, and I remember we talked about the Drax thing being more powerful. When we went to see this, you had let me know, like, Drax is this, in the comics, he's this, powerful being, and he kills Thanos, right?
Well, in the comics, he was, if I remember it correctly, he was created
To kill Thanos.
to destroy Thanos.
Yeah. And it's funny, like, they make it, like, the complete opposite. And what is he turns into, like, they kind of, like, slice him up.
Yeah, he turns
just
into
falls
cubes
in
that falls
pieces.
over it
Yeah.
when he changes reality on him.
Yeah.
Well, another thing that gets me is that Thanos, and this is, I mean, obviously this would not make a good movie doing this, but I always think to myself, if he can turn him into cubes, he could have just killed him. Like,
Well,
he could literally,
anything.
he could right there do what he wanted, and whenever somebody got in his way, just snap his fingers and just kill one person.
And that's what it's.
He
it's
doesn't
kinda
need to
weird.
fight them. He's just doing it because obviously the movie needs
Right.
comic
the character.
characters and stuff like that, but you can't just kill people. But he could.
Yeah.
Is one of the things that always got me.
So what do you think about the relationship of Gamora and Thanos? Because obviously he needs her, and I don't know. He doesn't know this yet, or he might know it.
He knows.
He knows that he needs.
Yeah, because he explains that Nebula tried getting on his ship before he even, because all this is happening within like all this right here has just happened. He's got 3 stones within a
like
few
a minute.
hours.
Yeah, hour. Yeah, like
He
real.
he spends,
soon.
and this is what I was explaining to you earlier, that he needed to know the position of all the stones.
Everybody. Yeah.
Because he needed to know where every stone was so that he could literally just start and get them all. And he knows where all of them are, and he's already got 3. And so all this is happening within a few hours. And he explained that Nebula had tried getting on a while back to his ship and almost killed him before he even started getting the stones.
Isn't there a theory that she does kill him?
I think she does in the comics, but I don't know.
I don't know. I think I heard that somewhere that she.
might be the one that's
Yeah,
gonna
like
kill him.
they predict, like, maybe it was a prediction, but
Could
there's
be.
like
I
a
mean,
strong prediction or a theory that she has the best chance to kill Thanos. Basically.
She's the only one that we know of explained in Infinity War that's even came close. He said she very nearly succeeded, so that means that she
knows how.
almost
at least,
did, yeah.
or almost knows how.
and but yeah, he explains that she got on board, and then when he's tearing her apart, she says, or he finds the memory clip because he can play it as footage. And it shows that Gamora's telling Nebula that she knows where the last stone is.
Oh, okay.
The Soul Stone, at least.
Yeah. So yeah, when they go to that to get the Soul Stone,
Yeah. Vormir.
when like in the movies you're like, oh, this isn't gonna work. Like, you're right, he doesn't, like, when she's like laughing, like, you never loved anyone and blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah. You just loved yourself.
I don't think the movie explained very well. Like I don't think that, I don't know. Like when he went to her planet to destroy half the life.
Right.
I don't think she would have just stared at the knife. You know what I mean? Like that was kind of a corny scene where he's like, no, don't pay attention to everybody getting shot.
It was a distraction, though. I mean, it was a distraction, but
I think he truly loves her, and I think that she wants to, like, love him, but she can't because he kidnapped her and killed her entire planet, and she can't justify that.
they could. I think one thing they could have done a better job of in the movie was maybe, like, how they did the flashback showing the knife, like maybe like do a couple more like flashbacks, like maybe like in Gamora's head like when when she's at like his throne.
You mean like flashbacks to where
Like,
we
maybe,
see
like-
their life together?
Yes,
That
yes,
that
like
would've been
maybe
nice.
like they're playing or something. I don't know, just something that
I think that
reminds-
would have, because when he does throw her over, obviously he loves her because
because it works.
It gets the stone. So I think that would have been a really good thing to show us.
Yeah, that like
that he
actually
loved her.
because in that scene I'm pretty sure everyone thought like that he like this is a block in the road, like
Yeah,
he's not gonna be able
for
to get
sure.
this stone right now because he doesn't love Gamora, he doesn't love anybody.
Yeah,
But then when he does, and you're like holy crap, he actually does love her.
Yeah.
Like he cared about her.
yeah,
It'd have been cool if they just a couple, like maybe like one more flashback, just
yeah,
a time
it-
when like they were having a good time or he was teaching her
yeah.
something.
And she was sort of having fun.
Yeah.
and he was
And it was
able to
actual
teach her
a father-daughter
something. Yeah,
relationship.
that'd have been
I think
nice.
that'd have been a good little scene there. That'd have been pretty cool.
So on the next scene, they come in, and this is the first time that the Captain America side of the Civil War Avengers is finally making it back to the United States, and they come back to Avengers headquarters when Rhodey is on a conference call. Essentially, it's kind of like a holographic conference call with the General Ross.
Right.
And I thought it was, to me, this is a really key scene, almost, just because of the fact that it kind of shows that Captain America is beyond politics, and he really doesn't care what they have to say to him right now because Thanos coming is beyond Earth.
What movie was that from? The Orders? What, the World Order?
That started in
That's
Ultron because
yeah.
of the events, and it was the Sokovia Accords.
Yeah.
And that started because they destroyed Sokovia, but it
Right.
wasn't really them. It was, and I mean,
Any superhero.
in my opinion, I'm always in that argument. I will always be on Cap's side because you'll never save the single. You'll never save a single person, but you will save the many.
And this situation too is not just many. This is half.
Yes.
This
This
is-
situation in Infinity War is
This is almost 200 million people.
Well,
we're talking about.
we're
It's
talking
not,
about half the universe. He
Well,
wipes out
I'm
half
just
the
talking about on the
universe.
world. Like
Yeah.
he's thinking about everybody, but like this is just
And
this
it's
is
probably more
bigger
than
than
200
anything.
million. It's
Oh yeah,
what is there,
200
16
zillion.
billion people on Earth? 16
Oh,
billion?
you're right. You're right. There's
Yeah,
another
this isn't
7.
just United
7 billion.
States.
So 3.5
Yeah.
billion just on the world.
Yes.
So
And
like this is just
gone.
it's bigger than any kind
Well,
of politics or
and
any.
going on with the Sokovia Accords, like I said, I'm with Cap because as a superhero, you can't like you could definitely go back and help with cleanup. That would be a good thing to do, and then they never do that, which is what some people talk about. But when you're Superman, let's go off on a different way here. If you're Superman or somebody like that, you can't stop a villain from destroying a skyscraper. That's
Yeah,
just
but-
not going to happen.
Okay, so this is you don't really think about this part
When you're
when like you're watching the movie. You don't
you
really
see
think
it
about
from
like
the superhero fight. You don't see it from the person in the building getting smashed.
that's getting fallen to the ground because these two superheroes crash into
Yes.
the building,
and
that's not something that like you really think about. That's
No.
not in that.
not at all.
And I guess like I didn't really
As a
think about
hero,
it.
you don't think about
Age
that.
of Ultron did a good job of that being like a plot.
Well,
and
that's what the Sokovia Accords came out saying that, and it kind of makes sense, but it was one of those things where it's kind of disrespectful is how Cap took it because they were basically he probably would have went along with it if it wasn't just like the United Nations wanted to sanction them as a weapon.
Just restrictions. Like if
Well,
if it would have been
They wanted it to be where like say something happened, the United Nations would decide if the Avengers
they just
can
didn't
go.
want to have the restriction. More of if it would have been like a partnership.
Yeah.
If it had been something that let's work together.
Like the
rather
Avengers could have
than-
came up and said, "Hey, can we do this?" Instead of being like the government being like, "You're gonna wait."
Yeah,
kinda
you're
thing.
gonna wait for our orders. Like it could have been something that if everyone would have worked together, it would have been better.
Yeah, and so yeah, that definitely was a key part to me that he was able to come back. He knew it was time to come back to Avengers headquarters so he could actually be in a place that he can have technology
And
to deal with
plan.
stuff. Yeah, instead of just hotels that are 2-star.
And then another part of a key scene here is we get the reunion of Bruce Banner and Black Widow
Yes.
for the first time
Super
after.
awkward.
Yeah, I know. After Hulk took the ship, So we finally get that reconnection of, and what does he just say? Like she goes,
Hey, Nat.
Hi Bruce,
Hey,
or
Bruce.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really, it is really awkward.
Yeah, but all I know is that if I was the Hulk, I would probably try and control my heart rate because yeah, for sure. But yeah, so we also at this point too with the Civil War split up teams. This movie does a really good job of keeping the characters apart that were meant to stay apart. So like Iron Man doesn't see Captain America the entire movie,
Right.
And they're actually never on Earth
Together.
Yeah, or the United
Well,
States at
yeah.
the same time. When New York gets attacked is when Iron Man leaves, and that's way before Captain America comes in to the United States. So I mean, it's kind of cool seeing that they stay apart this entire movie, and then in Endgame, it's going to be an even more emotional thing for everyone.
And it's kind of cool because they're kind of like leading both sides.
They're still leading the same
these
teams.
two different teams.
Yeah.
But it's all for one.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to be really cool on Endgame is that they're going to finally have to come back together, work together.
Yeah.
And I mean, you kind of see, well, that's actually Cap trying to get, or Iron Man trying to get back, but they finally get back, and it's going to be this epic like plan.
Yeah.
And and like especially like the interaction of Captain America and Iron Man.
Well, and we
it's going to
already
be
see
very interesting.
We already see it sort of in some of the trailers where he's like, do you trust me? And it's like, and then Captain's like, well, of course I do. But
when's the last time they were together before? That was the Civil War?
Yeah, it was the fight in Civil
War,
War at the end
and then that was it.
That he tried killing Bucky. Captain America saved Bucky and then left. Gave him the shield, left his shield behind, which we see in Endgame. That's going to be so awesome. But yeah.
Speaking of Bucky.
So he gets his arm back in Wakanda.
Yeah.
And I really like how at the end of Civil War, Black Panther realized that he was just consumed with revenge. And he was trying to kill the wrong person the entire time. He thought that Bucky was the guy who did the explosion, when in turn it was actually Captain Nemo who blew up the building and killed his dad.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool that because they use vibranium for his arm.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that he put the past aside.
Yeah.
For a bigger picture.
Well, and he took Bucky in, and in their facility they were able to basically help him get that out of his mind so that nobody could use that key phrase words to get him to turn back.
Yeah, and it was probably also because of the relationship and just who Captain America is, like the way he comes off and how like nice of a guy he is, that he probably Black Panther probably trusts Captain America's word for Bucky.
I trust him with the keys to my house.
But he probably trusts him like that. Like that's his friend.
Yeah.
So like he knows that that's not him.
Yeah, he knows that Captain America wouldn't associate himself with scum.
Right.
And so if he's fighting that hard to defend, like he would betray Iron Man, who was one of his best friends, and he would betray him just to protect Bucky. He knows, okay, maybe this guy needs a second chance.
Yeah.
And so once he was done with the revenge-filled whatever, he takes him back and gets him his new arm, and then we start kind of the
probably
countdown.
The three most important. Well, maybe the three most important scenes, like
the three most
to the end
pieces of the
puzzle,
and it's kind of cool because they layer them.
Yeah.
So like while the Battle of Wakanda is happening, Thor's trying to get his hammer. He doesn't realize he's getting a hammer though. He's just trying to find Dimitri to make him a weapon.
Right, and they're trying to get the gauntlet off Thanos.
Yes.
On Titan.
And that plan would have worked, should have worked, except for the plan maker himself had a little love craze. That was I liked the plan. That was a great plan, but I don't think he should have talked. Definitely shouldn't have talked to Thanos.
That would have been too easy. It's just like, what, he takes off the gauntlet, breaks it, get movie over.
And what was cool to me is when I was watching that scene, there's so many renditions in the comic, because the Infinity War series isn't just like 4 comic strips.
Right.
It's like a whole bunch of comic
different
books.
Stories.
And a whole bunch of people wear the Infinity Gauntlet. Like Deadpool's worn it, Spider-Man's worn it, Nebula's worn it. And so like when they were about ready to take it off, in my head I was like, this is going to be sick. He's going to take it off, and one of them is going to put the gauntlet on, and then now what? But I thought that was a really key scene in my opinion for sure.
Well, and I think he had a right to be mad because that's the love of his life who was sacrificed, and like this is just prediction for Endgame, but she might not come back.
No, maybe.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like this is a possibility. Like she died. She didn't get snapped.
Yeah, she got thrown off a cliff. So
right.
The only way to get her back would be to go back in time and prevent that from happening. Which there's a few theories that I'd like to discuss about that the Soul Stone for sure. But yeah, she's dead.
Yeah,
that's not just a snap. That's that's pre-snap, like for sure, a few days or a few hours.
So it's understandable that he was upset.
Oh,
and obviously Rage just took over, and he wanted to hear him say it, and it was a good scene, but it's like, come on, man, you were this close.
I think it was obviously it was on purpose. It's a movie.
And I think honestly, like watching that movie for the first time, a lot of people probably thought this is the end. Like this is how they beat him.
Well, yeah and no at the same time, because you knew there was going to be another Avengers. They'd already had it in the lineup.
Right, but like
they'd already said it was going to be a two-piece. So you were like, this is the end, but at the same time it's like, but it can't be. You know what I mean? Like,
right. But like when you're watching, you're just like, okay, this is it. Like watching it just as like you're thinking the superheroes are going to win.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, this is how they do it. They're going to take it off, and they're going to snap, or they're going to do whatever, break it, and then they're going to kill Thanos, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then when he doesn't get the gauntlet taken off, he takes out everybody.
Yeah. You're
like, he's going to win.
Well, he's pissed.
Yeah, he's really mad. But at the same time, you have that last leg of the superheroes might win with Thor.
Yes.
Thor's,
he throws the hammer at him, and
he's making his hammer. He's hasn't been around at all since like the first third of the movie.
Yeah.
So he's been out in space, and he's trying to get this hammer, and you're like, okay, like he's gonna do it. Like Thor's gonna be the one to kill Thanos.
Well, yeah. It to me it was one of those things where he hasn't done really anything. He's just met the Guardians, and then the Guardians split up, and so Rocket and Groot are with Thor, and then the rest of them are out fighting Thanos, essentially. Well, Gamora dies, and then the rest of them are out fighting Thanos, and but like it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so they're a big weapon. So there's only two big huge weapons on the Avengers team, and that's Thor and the Incredible Hulk. And Bruce Banner's having some erectile problems.
Not coming out.
And he doesn't want to come out of his shell. And Thor isn't even anywhere near where they need to be. But he's out, and he explains that there's this essentially Thanos killing weapon. And for me, it's really cool that he can make a hammer that can beat the gauntlet. But it's also very corny to me that you can just go to this place and make something so like
powerful.
If somebody's like, oh, I'm all powerful with a even higher weapon than the axe, you can just go back and be like, yeah, I need something to beat that.
Yeah,
it's like a McDonald's for better weapons.
But the one thing you do see in the scene where he's making the hammer is you see how strong Thor is.
Yeah, he was able to take a star.
Yeah, you literally see how, and that's one thing I don't think they, like we talked about earlier, that they kind of like lessen these superheroes. In this scene, they didn't. They showed that Thor is a badass, and he can do a lot. And especially like jumping to the battle of Wakanda, they're kind of almost getting their asses kicked.
Yeah,
like they're about to.
Well, and that's how that scene goes. Is Hulkbuster's completely covered by the. I don't remember what the name of the creatures are of Thanos' creatures,
I know,
but he's completely covered. So is Bucky. Captain America's covered. They're literally getting their asses kicked. Black Panther is getting taken out by the Black Order, and everybody's just being taken out. And then you see the Bifrost just hit the ground, and so now you can see that this weapon can conjure the Bifrost, which the Bifrost is a super strong element in space.
Yeah.
And B, Thor's finally here.
And so it's about time. You're like, about time.
Yeah, he finally makes it to a battle. You don't in my opinion, you don't honestly know where he's going to show up. Because he he could have known that they were on Titan, which I guess he wouldn't.
Well, no, he wouldn't know. He knew that they were going for Thanos, though.
Yeah.
Because when they split up,
Thanos wasn't on Earth.
Yeah, they thought he was at Nowhere.
Yes. And so that's the last place that he had known about. And then after they left to go to Nowhere and he went to go find Nidavellir, he didn't know where they were going after that. And so, I didn't know if he was going to show up on Titan, if he was going to show up on Earth, if he was going to show up at Nowhere and be too late. I mean, there was just a whole cascade of things that probably could have happened.
Yeah, you kind of. I mean, I guess maybe someone gave him a signal, or he just knew. Maybe, I don't know. That's a good point. That like, how did he know that they were in Wakanda?
So I think
how did he get to Wakanda? Like,
I think he just had like a he had like a 3 out of whatever chance to go to the right place, and he chose Earth, and it happened to be
got it right.
the right place. And I mean, Thanos wasn't on Earth, so I mean, if he would have went to Titan, it could have been maybe a little different.
Like a one-on-one.
Yeah, like he could have showed up on
Titan?
like he could have showed up on Titan at the same time that Doctor Strange and him are bending reality together, and he could have shown up, and while he's fighting, could have joined in with another super strong being, who I think Doctor Strange is a very key character in this because he is the only one who's seen the end.
Well, I wonder, with that timeline of Thor trying to come up, I wonder if it happened like before he finished his hammer. I know because we said that they're layered, but it doesn't mean that they're exact same time.
Yeah, that's true.
So, what if? But you're right. It is. How did he know where to go?
I don't know.
Which that's a good question
guessed.
because he had to guess. He had 3 choices.
Well,
basically, maybe no more than that. Like he either Earth, Nowhere, and he doesn't know about Titan.
No.
So I guess it's only 2.
Yeah.
Or back into space. Like it was only 3.
Or he was just going to start flying around and finding it.
Yeah, just flying around until he got somewhere. I don't know. That's a good point though. That like, if he would have went to Titan,
well, if he
this movie would have been completely different.
If he would have went to Nowhere, the movie definitely would have been different because Thanos would have snapped and then, I mean, wouldn't have been injured. You know what I mean? So like, if he would have went to Nowhere, he would have been just at Nowhere, standing there like, bring me Thanos.
Okay, but when he comes in on Wakanda and he looks like this
crash land, stands there, and instead of
full of like lightning bolts,
instead of lightning, it's blue flames coming off the tip of his Stonebreaker.
That part was badass.
And then he chucks it, and obviously we see it still comes back to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was cool that Groot finished the weapon for him.
Oh yeah. That was a good part too, because
the entire movie, Groot's been a little asshole.
Yeah, and he wasn't like
so this kind of showed to the audience that he actually does want to help. You know what I mean?
Well, he wasn't that like character that we liked in Guardians 1 and 2. You know, obviously, Baby Groot and Groot, but the lovable character of Groot that we liked.
No, he
wasn't that.
He was a teenager that we all wanted to smack.
Yeah, that we all wanted to beat his ass.
Or find out
until he did, like that's a good point. Is that he ends up helping. I think that was actually good that they did that. That was a good little sneak in. But at the Battle at Wakanda, we didn't talk about once Thor shows up, Rocket's trying to get Bucky's arm.
Yes. that was I did like that scene. That was I like how in the face of all of the other characters know that this is an ultimate demise, probably. Like, literally in the back of their minds, they're like, well, I don't know how we're going to defeat him. He has 5 Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
And, all they know is he has 4. But when he shows up, he has the Time Stone. And so everybody's like, dude, we're going to die. And then Rocket's over here, backs up to Bucky, and he's like, how much for the arm?
Yeah.
He asked for the gun first, which I would have asked, too. It's a pretty nice gun. But he asked for his gun. He said it's not for sale. And he's like, well, how much for the arm? And he's not for sale. And he's like, oh, I'll get that.
I'm going to get that arm. You know what I just realized?
You know what's funny is, what if he gets it?
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
In Endgame, what if he has it?
Well, that's hilarious because of the eye that he gives Thor.
He said, he was like, well, how much did you pay for it? And he's like, well, I didn't. I just snuck in later and took it.
Yeah, didn't he like say it was up his butt or something like that?
Yeah, he just put it in his butt to hide it, and he would have washed it first.
But you know what I just realized looking at the scene here is that is the suit that Hulk is using.
the Hulkbuster suit.
Yeah, that's the same suit from
Yeah,
Ultron.
that's-
I literally like forgot.
That's the Hulkbuster.
Yeah, like, and that's crazy that he's fighting in
In
the
the
suit that
Hulkbuster,
he was
yeah.
that was made to fight him.
Well, this scene, the scene of them getting ready to charge, really was kind of a throw off, because when you watched the trailer for Infinity War, Hulk's in it, and they're all charging down in the forest or whatever.
But they're known to do that to alter.
and that's one of the things that like we can go off of trailers and everything, as much as you want, and you can think of theories off of trailers and stuff. But I for the most part don't really trust them anymore after that, because
you can't. And what they were probably trying to do was hide the story of Hulk in this movie.
Well, and that's what I was thinking about too, is that what they probably did was were like they had that scene was in the movie, but what they probably did was CGI the Hulkbuster out.
Yeah.
And put Hulk in, and then
and they just
you get
wanted
see
to,
and then that way you don't realize that he's
you're
hiding.
Not, you're not making theories of what's going on with Hulk.
And I think it was really important for them to almost quote unquote hide the Hulk from the whole movie, because that really shows, like, the commentary after in the DVD of Infinity War, the Russo brothers talk about how the reason why they did that was because Hulk is essentially tired of saving Bruce, because the only reason why they bring the Hulk out is to do the fighting, and then Bruce is around for 80% of the time, and Hulk doesn't, because inside Bruce's mind is two creatures essentially, and
Right.
Hulk is in there, and he's just pushed to the side, and I think they did this on purpose to set up for the fact that we're going to get Dr. Hulk in Endgame, where it's Bruce's mind in Hulk's body.
Yeah.
So they both fuse together consciously,
and he can control.
It's the same person.
have
Like,
better
he can
control.
he's like Beast from X-Men.
Yeah.
He can be super strong. He is the Hulk
But
that can
just-
perform like
Well,
neurosurgery.
you kind of see it in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, and
You
and
get a
that was
better sense of Thor, like,
Yes.
or not Thor, Hulk as
He's great,
like a normal
he's
person
grown,
almost.
He's evolved almost, and
Yeah.
his mentality. Well, that's because he was the Hulk for like 2 years.
yeah.
He wasn't Bruce that entire time. He literally pushed Bruce to the back of the bus, and now Hulk's driving the entire time.
Yeah, but you think he's...
And so he's able to evolve, stand upright,
Well,
which
that
I really
you know what?
liked.
That's a good... This is crazy, is that for those 2 years, he was beating everybody.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, he didn't... He fought Thor in Ragnarok, but he probably turns back into Bruce after losing that fight with Thanos.
Yeah.
That's why he turns back, and he's kind of like, I just got my ass kicked, and I've been
Well,
beating everybody's ass for 2 years.
So they kind of touched on this too in the commentary, and they were saying that because a lot of people were saying, well, now Hulk's scared to come out, and that's when they brought up the fact that he's not scared to come out. He's had his ass kicked multiple times, and he's the type of creature that he doesn't know how to fight. He really doesn't. He just throws punches.
Yeah.
And that's why he loses to Thanos, because Thanos is kind of like how Iron Man can reprogram his suit to fight, like in Civil War. Thanos can almost see what somebody's doing and then evolve to it within the fight. And so Thanos knows how to throw punches, and Hulk just is, smashing.
Yeah, just
and so
swinging.
He's, like they said, he's had his ass kicked multiple times. He loves fighting, whether he loses or not. And they were saying that he wasn't scared to come back out. He was just tired of, being the backseat driver until they need a fighter.
Right.
And so, I mean, we definitely see that throughout this movie, and I really like that, because I honestly do think it's going to set it up for a...
Yeah, I think
for
I think he's gonna have a bigger part, a better movie.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, when they're on Titan and Doctor Strange sees all 14 million futures.
Yeah.
14 million whatever futures. And they only win one, which is kind of crazy that there's that many timelines that only one
scenario is gonna work out.
And I almost wonder if he means there's only one scenario where everyone lives.
Probably.
You know what I mean? Like, because to him, does winning mean everyone lives and Thanos is defeated, or does winning mean, or would winning also mean like there was like a million timelines where Iron Man died, Captain America
Right, somebody
died.
sacrifices
Yes.
himself to win. Yeah, I know what you mean. I think it's probably everyone is alive.
Yeah.
It's probably there's
Only
one
way.
scenario where Thanos is dead, everyone lives. There's probably other scenarios, like you said, where they can snap and other people are gone.
Yeah.
And then like Doctor Strange is alive, like he
Yeah.
didn't get snapped. There's probably like that's a good point. Is that there's only one scenario where everyone wins.
Yeah. Well, so so he sees all these futures, and I just think it's weird that Doctor Strange, he's an extremely powerful character. He's able to communicate with eternal beings, like the One Above All and the Living Tribunal and stuff like that, and he's told by the Living Tribunal that there can only be one master of the mystic arts, which is him, and he's the protector of the Time Stone. He's essentially the Ancient One's replacement.
Right.
So I just think it's kind of weird that Thanos, who has never controlled the Infinity Stones, now has the power to change reality.
But that's what the Gauntlet is, though.
Well, yeah, he knows how to fight, but he doesn't know the types of moves and knowledge that Doctor Strange has. Doctor Strange has a photographic memory. He could go into the library, sit there for a week, and read every single book, and he will remember everything. And so he essentially did that when he's back in the New York. And so he's got all this knowledge of all of the abilities of the Master of the Mystic Arts. So I think it's kind of strange that he loses. But he does this after he saw the future. So I'm thinking that as soon as he saw that future, he was just going to let it flow. And
right,
so
he knew what
he
had
did the
to
fight
happen.
and knew that he had to do these certain things. And now when he loses, so it kind of had me worried at the end that they all got snapped away. But at the same time, I'm like, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and that's the scene where they throw the title in for Endgame. He's like, we're in the Endgame now. Like he gives you that the direction of, okay, like
Yeah.
we're gonna win this. Like at some point we'll win this.
The thing that gets me though is that, did he tell Tony this plan? Because Tony
no.
acts super surprised. So he got snapped away. So my thing is if he knows the timeline of what needs to happen, he's gone.
Right. So they just have to do what
did
what
he
they
put
think.
his trust in the fact that they're going to do what he thinks they're going to do? Because he set everything in motion by losing that fight, by doing this, by doing that, and then as soon as everything was set in motion for him, he got snapped away, and so now it's kind of like he didn't have any control of Earth.
Like, what do we do?
Yeah, so they don't know what to do. Tony doesn't know what to do. He has no idea that. I don't even think he remembers that Strange said there's one, and that's what needs to happen. Because I don't think Strange told him, because from any other time-traveling movie, if you try and do things exactly as you're supposed to, it's never going to work out, because something is going to change.
Right.
So I don't think he told him, because maybe it's just going to unfold that way. Or
I think maybe that line of there's only one scenario is just... They might have just used that for a setup.
Maybe.
Just to set up for Endgame.
Yeah.
That
Endgame is the...
Right, that they're going to win in Endgame, or like whatever's going to happen in Endgame, like...
It's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen. And maybe they explain it in Endgame somehow. They... Doctor Strange is... When they go back in time, like Doctor Strange can, talk to them or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever they do in Endgame maybe is explained... Or Doctor Strange can explain what he saw.
Yeah.
Win.
That'd be cool, yeah, if they went back in time to see him or something. Or maybe when they go back in time, maybe he didn't get snapped. Maybe when he gets snapped, he was actually in the quantum realm. Maybe because he can change realms. He can go into different realms. So maybe he went into a different realm, and the snap person that went away was just a little like shadow figure like Loki makes. That would be really cool to see him come out to help them in the end.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting because I wanted to go off of the Doctor Strange thing, talking about him and Tony. because what you see throughout the movie, and we kind of like missed this part in the beginning, is that they're butting heads the whole time.
Yeah.
They're just not getting along. Like it's the first time they met, and they're
both
kind of like both alpha males.
Well,
trying to
they're
lead.
both super arrogant.
Yeah.
Brainiacs.
Yeah, and in that scene there, you kind of see Doctor Strange trust.
Yeah, he gives
Tony
in.
Stark.
Yeah.
He's like, I know he's going to be able to do this, and
Yeah.
Tony Stark's going to be the biggest character in this movie. Him and Captain America, but I think Iron Man is going to be the biggest part of beating Thanos.
Well, in the trailers that we've seen,
you see
it's
all
Thor. Well, the big characters are Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man, and you
That's
see
all
it
those
when they
throwbacks.
walk up to Thanos as he's sitting there on, I think it was Destroyed Titan, and he's sitting there with his freaking double-sided sword, which I'm not
Yeah.
going to get into that. That's awesome. That's such a nostalgic thing, but yeah, I think that'll be a good scene, seeing those three come up and that they're the big characters. But yeah, so when Thor finally makes it to Earth, he comes in and hits the ground, and he saves everybody, and the battle just continues on just like it was. But then when Thanos finally arrives, that was a very goosebumpy scene for me,
Right,
just because it was just so awesome to see the trailers, how they had showed him, and like it seemed like every time Thanos spoke was like an Instagram tweet or post,
Yeah, a caption.
yeah, where it was just like "run from it and it'll arrive anyway" kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like he shows up in those trumpets.
in all those trailers, and in all the trailers, him showing up in the last scene there is literally like what they show.
Yeah,
Like him showing
he
up,
emerges out of that smoke,
and
you're
all
just
those trailers.
like-
So like you get like this, I don't know. You can just feel the change in everybody's. Like they think they've won
Yeah.
almost when they defeat, and then they like feel the
Chitauri,
presence
that's
of
their
him
name, the
coming, and they're
Chitauri.
like, "Oh crap!"
yes,
Like
well
he's here.
yeah, guys,
Yeah.
like the whole like. He's not even there yet, and somehow the climate on Earth is like
Changing, like they
and
feel
it's
him
just
coming.
like the calm before the storm, and then he
Yeah.
shows up, and this is another scene where Cap really shows his colors, like always. I mean, when he jumped on the grenade in Captain America, his movie, that right there, him being the scrawny kid that jumps on a grenade, to me, is re-shown in this scene because he's the leader of the Avengers. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
He is the leader, and he's always the first one to run into battle, even though he's not at all invincible.
And he put up the biggest. I mean, besides Thor.
Well, and it was so cool because he shows up, and he literally, as soon as he shows up, he's just standing there, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, we're so doomed!" And he's like, "Eyes up, everybody!" And then takes off running towards them.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, you're Jesus Christ. That's
And he puts
awesome.
up the biggest fight, pretty much, besides
Yeah.
Thor, and he's
able to
gets
hold
a bunch of
his
hits, and all
hand.
these other people, like Black Panther's getting knocked out,
Yeah.
and he's just mowing through everybody.
Yeah, and then Captain America walks up and gets like a few good punches in, and Thanos is kind of like,
Oh, crap.
okay.
Yeah.
And then he goes to hit him, and he catches his hand, and he's sitting there holding it with all his strength, and Thanos is like, the fuck is this guy? And then he knocks him out, obviously. But
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool to see Captain America be that. It shows that, and that's what I was saying, is that humans almost don't have, according to the movies, they have limitless power, because if he's the epitome of what humans are, he's able to fight an unstoppable god and actually get some hits on him. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. And then right before the last scene, we're seeing they're trying to get the Mind Stone now.
Yeah.
And like you're watching and you're like, oh, they're gonna get it, they're gonna destroy it, like
Mhm.
because again, like we know there's gonna be another movie, but like
Yeah.
you just don't think Thanos is gonna win
No.
throughout the whole movie. Like, oh, he's knocked down all these, but like
Well,
no, he's not gonna win. Like
No.
they're gonna get the stone out, they're gonna destroy it,
And then he's gonna
not gonna
and
be
then
able
he's
to do
gonna be
it.
stuck with 5 stones, and then the next movie is just gonna be them battling him
right,
as this.
getting maybe like
Yeah.
a different plot, and then he gets it.
Yeah. Well,
But then you're like, oh my God, he got it. But then out of nowhere, Thor.
yes, comes in
Gets
again.
him.
Bifrost jumps out of the air through the Bifrost, and then throws the hammer,
Right in his chest.
and it's hits
and
him
you're
right,
like,
and
yes, like,
that he's dead.
and then again,
Yeah,
like,
should have went
no.
for the head. What an idiot! And then the massive tsunami of memes should have went for the head.
But I think this whole movie, they kind of like set it up. Like they played that game of, oh, he's gonna win. Oh no, the heroes will win.
Yeah.
Oh nope, Thanos is gonna win.
Yeah.
Nope, the heroes are gonna win.
And they set this whole movie up too to show how powerful certain characters are, like the heroes. They really want, like, I think that this entire movie they really wanted to show how strong Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor was.
Yeah,
you get to see it. But I didn't like that they showed how strong Wanda is, the Scarlet Witch.
Mm-hmm.
They show how strong she actually is throughout this whole movie, and she's able to destroy an Infinity Stone. She's able to hold. She's the only one.
Yeah, she was
who
doing
can
a
hold
lot.
Thanos back while destroying the Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
Without even breaking a sweat.
And I mean, she was doing a lot on the battlefield too.
But then they kill her with the snap.
Yeah.
So it's like they made this awesome super character and then took her away. But yeah.
So the snap happens.
Yes, and
we get all these characters gone.
Yeah.
We got basically the main Avengers left.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Essentially, it's
yeah.
basically the main Avengers plus
a couple
Cap's
others.
side of the Avengers who are still there.
Yeah.
Pretty much that's left.
Yeah.
And we go to the scene of...
Well, sort of, because Falcon's gone.
Yeah.
Falcon's gone, and... Yeah, it's pretty much.
But basically, there's not a lot left. We've lost a lot of Avengers.
Yes.
So they go to the scene where Thanos gets up out of the water, and you see Baby Gamora.
Yeah.
And this was, like we talked about earlier, the flashbacks. That could have been, and it was a good scene where, like, but they showed her as a baby again, and it wasn't really. Well, it was just like,
I think they showed her like,
did you do it?
Yeah,
or?
she was like, did you do it? And
yeah.
He's like, yeah. And she asked what it cost, and he said everything, because he knows Thanos isn't really a villain. He's honestly not a bad guy. He has this.
He has a weird thinking.
He has this idea, and he just has to do it.
Yeah.
He thinks this is what has to happen, and he knows that nobody likes him. Nobody wants him to do this. Everybody wants him dead. But like he said, he's the only one who has the will to admit and do that. Like in reality, like if you take the moral side out of it in real life right now, if you were to honestly, and I'm not saying do this, so nobody make any comments about this crap, but if you were to take the moral side out of it and destroy half the population of Earth, the rest of us would rise up, and it would be a prosperous planet, because you wouldn't have hunger, you wouldn't have all these things, and
it makes sense. I understand what you're saying.
He knows that that's something that needs to happen.
That's what he's trying to do. Is he's just trying to make life live longer.
Do that.
Right, but
it's not morally. Who gave him the right to
be the judge and the executioner
of the universe?
Right.
There's people who are like, in the comics, the universe is actually a person. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you don't have any power in this place, so why do you think that you're the one that has to do this? And that's why he's a villain, is because he's on this rant to do this, and it's like, why can't we find another solution?
Right. And I understand what you're saying. It's not moral.
No,
but
you should definitely not do that.
It makes sense.
And you don't have the right to do that.
Right.
But I do like that they use the young Gamora, just because he knows that the older version, the adult version, hates him.
Right.
So he uses the kid version because the kid version didn't understand that he stole her yet until she grew up. So for him, that's innocence.
Oh, and I
he
wanted to
likes
say,
seeing her as an innocent child.
And when you were talking about that, he says it was everything. You see that before he throws Gamora off the edge for the Soul Stone. Yes. He says, it's something like,
I can't pass Destiny up
twice. Yeah, I can't pass Destiny up twice. So you know that it was everything. Mm-hmm. That he was on a mission to do this.
Well, his first Destiny was that he didn't have the will to do it on Titan.
Right.
And so Titan fell. Titan collapsed because there was too many people, which it seems a little dramatic, but Titan became a wasteland and everything. And so he had seen Destiny come, and he could have done it, which he would have been banished, but his people would have prospered, but he didn't. And so to him, that was his second time. The second time Destiny was calling was when he knew he could do it to the whole universe. And he was like, I'm not passing this up. Yeah. I don't care what happens to me. I want to save everyone. But he's a villain about it.
Right.
he'll kill anybody in his way, and that's just not the way to do things.
So after the snap, we get the characters gone. We see Baby Gamora, and we hit basically the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's about it.
We finish the movie, and then we get to the end, the cut scene, or
Yeah.
the ending credit.
So the end of this movie actually ties into the exact same time. Like they both go together with Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
And so this movie, the snap happens, and so at the time of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Ant-Man and the Wasp is actually happening at the same time as the battle.
And you think it's weird that Ant-Man's not there?
Well, it's just like Captain Marvel. A lot of people
but
had the question of where's Captain Marvel, and she actually answers it in Endgame. There's a trailer that shows where they said, "Where have you been this whole time?" And she literally said, "Well, there's other planets in the universe that don't have you guys, unfortunately." So she knew everything the Avengers had been doing.
Right.
She just knew the Avengers were there. So she
Yeah.
was like, I don't need to help them. They've got this. And so I think that Ant-Man... somebody explained in a theory on YouTube that Ant-Man and Hawkeye didn't come to help at first because they told the government that they would give up that lifestyle
Oh, while they were
to be
jail.
with their family.
Yeah. I remember.
So
that.
they gave up the Avengers to be with their families, and
Yeah.
they gave him that. So he was on house arrest. He couldn't leave, and so the entire time that they're fighting, he probably honestly knew it was happening, but he didn't want to give up his daughter.
And plus, he was like, when the snap happens, obviously he's in the quantum realm.
Yeah.
You see that at the end of that cutscene.
Yeah,
So in this cutscene, this is when we get Nick Fury's gone. Like,
Yeah.
And that's a big character. He's
Yeah.
the leader, like
director of
Captain
S.H.I.E.L.D.
America's the leader, but he's like the
Yep.
the CEO. Like he
Yeah.
runs this. He does everything. You see a lot of people disappearing, but he does get the pager off
Yeah.
for Captain Marvel.
And that was before Captain Marvel came out.
Right. And you had
And-
no idea.
And so this was actually before Captain Marvel was introduced, wasn't
Yeah,
it? This was
well,
before
I
they
didn't have
even-
any clue.
I didn't. I mean, I really didn't either. I knew there was going to be another movie right before, that was going to come out fairly soon, to close to Endgame for that. But I didn't know who it was going to be, and the fact that when that little symbol showed up on the pager, I bought shit. I mean, that was perfect.
I mean, yeah, I remember in the
placement.
movie I had to ask you. I was like, "What's that?"
Yeah, Captain Marvel.
I didn't know. Yeah, I literally
She's,
didn't know.
Well, before I knew it was going to be a girl, I mean, that was a he. Captain Marvel's kind of one of those characters that's kind of iffy because it's an extremely failed character in the comic books. It started out in DC, and then Marvel essentially was like, yeah, you can't take our name. And so they took Captain Marvel, and then from there it started out as a guy, Captain Marvel. Went through suit changes, hairstyle changes, gender changes apparently, and then now we've got Danvers, which is really funny that they named the last name Danvers. I'm going to kind of going off topic here, but Supergirl's last name is Danvers, Kara Danvers, and Captain Marvel's name is Carol Danvers.
So it's kind of like a blend of two characters.
Yeah, no, it's like, so are you leaving her related to Supergirl?
Right.
Is that going to be on the 1 in a billion chance that they're going to do a Marvel DC crossover? That kind of is like a tiny sprinkle of maybe. You know what I mean? It'll probably never happen ever. But
That's interesting.
it's just kind of weird that her name's Danvers and Supergirl's name's Danvers.
Yeah.
But
So my thoughts of when we saw the pager was, who was this?
yeah, who's getting called in?
Like, where has this person been?
Well, yeah, because if Nick Fury has the Avengers and he assembled this team handpicked, and as we see in Captain Marvel, he knows Captain Marvel,
And
and
obviously,
so it's like if he's got the universe's greatest heroes, and he's sending a page to somebody else to save the day, who the fuck is on the end of that page?
Right. And what this
Is he
brings
calling
up the point,
God?
This brings up the point that she knows what's going on. Is obviously her and Nick Fury were still like in contact.
Yeah,
Because that's the only way she would know about the Avengers. That's the only way
Yeah.
that she would know what's going on Earth.
yeah,
And obviously, like, we figure out what happens, where she's been in Captain Marvel the movie.
yeah. But yeah, so I mean, it was a really good thing to see the pager and think who is on the end of that pager, and then also the fact that, as we saw in Captain Marvel, like you said, we knew where she was. She was helping the Skrull find a new planet, and Fury was, keeping her in the loop in case she needed to come back. So, recording this podcast, we're about a few hours away from heading to the theater to see Endgame. Just want to get some theories, predictions, things we think are going to happen, who we think is going to die,
what
out
we
of the
want
way.
to see.
Yeah, before we get to the movie.
So my first prediction I want to talk about is how we think the movie's going to start. I know we had talked about this earlier off podcast.
I think that'd be a good.
And we kind of had like two different like opinions, honestly.
Yeah.
I think this is going to start. I think it's going to start maybe not 6 months from now, but like a couple months later.
Yeah.
Like because they're so shocked.
Trying to
right. They're trying to regroup to have
this.
a great plan to win. And this might be flawed a little bit. Maybe it's not a couple months. Maybe it's a couple weeks. But it might be flawed because we do see Captain Marvel come up.
Yeah.
And she does pop up. Who knows how long it took her to get there?
Yeah, because she was traveling from however far
right.
off in space.
So we don't know that.
Yeah.
But we do know, and like Tony Stark. Obviously, we know Tony Stark has to come back.
Yeah, so he's still floating in space.
So,
at some point in the movie, he comes back.
Some point he comes back. So like
that could even be in the beginning. Who knows?
It kind of makes me think that this is taking place
later
some days, weeks, or maybe
months
months
at the max
after the snap.
Yeah,
that people were trying to regroup, we're trying to rebuild, and families are just trying to move on from what had happened. They're trying to figure out what happened and what to do with life at this point.
Yeah.
So my prediction, I think, is that they're gonna regroup and come up with this plan once Captain Marvel gets there, because they're trying to still figure out, like in the trailer you see, they're trying to figure out what the pager is and how did they get the pager.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
they do
obviously
see
they have to go get the pager off the ground.
Well, they had the pager and it finally stopped sending its signal.
Right.
And then
so
Rhodey was
up.
like, "Hey, this thing stopped. What does that mean?" And obviously we know that she arrived.
So it makes it kind of seems like, okay, how'd the pager get there?
Yeah. Like how did they find the pager? I mean, Nick Fury could have. Nick Fury is the one that usually finds them, so he could have been anywhere on any street in the massive city of New York, and they somehow find the pager in the middle of the street.
So it makes me think maybe who brought it to them? Maybe somebody brought it to them. Maybe Ant-Man. Maybe Ant-Man pops up because, he's in the quantum realm. He pops up in the trailer. He comes in the video.
Yeah,
he's on the video.
He's
camera.
in the van with the quantum realm tunnel in the back of his van, but with him. In the trailer, you see him wandering the streets,
right? Yeah.
And that's obviously before he gets to Avengers headquarters.
Yeah,
because he's wandering around like, what happened? And that's when he wants to go to.
And he sees missing posters, and
that's in front of his house
takes
too.
Time. This stuff takes time to put up these missing posters and things like that.
And when you see him in front of his house with the missing poster, that was his house behind him.
Yeah,
there's vines growing on it.
So
like his house looks deserted.
I really do think this, and obviously that means, oh man, that just ruined. That means his family got snapped.
Yeah. So
I didn't realize it.
Well, so that means that his family, and you can assume his family and Hawkeye's family are snapped because of how they react.
From the trailer.
Bringing up that point was kind of awesome because that's actually super ironic. Because that was the only two guys who gave up the Avengers
to be with their family.
And they both lost everything.
Dude, that's such a great point.
And they could have, and it's kind of, I think that's why Hawkeye turns to Ronin, just because his family's gone, so he wants revenge. And so when he turns to Ronin, he's in China or Japan fighting the last of the Chitauri, who are still there. That's who he's killing in the trailer. But I think he also turned into Ronin because of himself. He thinks maybe, I gave up the Avengers, and I knew they were fighting Thanos, but I gave it up. I said, I'm not going to do it because I want to protect my family. And he still loses his family. So he thinks, they both probably think, I should have fought. I probably could have helped.
Yeah.
And so now they're both like distraught and going crazy because it's like, oh my God, dude, I gave up this for this reason. And with Ant-Man, everyone's gone.
Yeah,
Hank Pym, Pym's wife, and the Van Dyne,
his daughter.
They're
all gone. Yeah. So my prediction is, I think it's some timetable after the snap.
The snap, yeah.
That the movie's gonna pick up.
And I could definitely see that. Just based off the trailer, you could say that that would probably be how it would go. I kind of think that Ant-Man stays in there a lot longer than we're thinking, and that the movie's gonna start more so off of as soon as the snap happens. The way that Cap is. We see him in the trailers. He's like, he's never given up, and he says that he hasn't. But he also at the same time seems like he has, because he's at like some sort of AA meeting talking about how people are gone. He's at a counselor and another one talking about his feelings, telling her that we're not going to move on, but why is he talking to all these people about moving on? I think that what happened was as soon as the snap happened, they regrouped together with Cap. And he was like, we need to go back to HQ. And they go back to HQ and they do everything they can to find Thanos, and that they're just going to barrel straight to him. Right in the beginning of the movie, they're going to go straight to the planet that he went to or created or whatever, and that they're going to try and take a huge fight to him, like a revenge fight, suicide mission almost. And they get there, and when you see Rocket opening the door to that fishing hut, I think that's him finding that Thanos isn't there.
Oh yeah, he's probably not.
And so I think they're probably gonna either gonna go to Thanos' planet with the Titan 2 or whatever it is, whatever they're gonna call it. I think they're gonna go straight there, right off the bat, and they're either gonna have a small fight where they get their asses kicked again because they are just barreling in with no plan, or they're gonna get there and they're gonna see he's not there.
You know what? Another theory, if we're gonna go off yours, that might happen, is that if we're going from your story, that they do come up with this plan, they do want to take this attack, and this is when Iron Man comes back.
Okay.
And Iron Man he has a better sense of what to do. He knows, and he lets him know what he heard from Doctor Strange, that we only got one shot at this,
and we need to regroup.
Yeah, and we
instead
need to
of barreling in like this.
Yeah, and maybe he intersects them before they leave.
Could be, or he gets to the new planet with them.
Right.
Or something.
And I think Iron Man, and then that will be our first, reignite, or Iron Man and Captain America coming back.
Yeah.
That's the first time we'll see them coming back together. And obviously we'll have the long scene of Iron Man going through space.
Rebuilding, or using parts from Nebulas, what
doing
it looks like.
Whatever he can to get home.
Back, yeah.
So, I don't know. My second thing I want to talk about predictions-wise is, who do we think is not going to make it?
Oh, easy. I say easy just because there's a lot of characters who can't die, obviously, because they're going to be in Marvel's Phase 5.
Right.
There's already movies laid out for them. So that, in essence, the MCU kind of ruined that.
Right, because we obviously know
surprise
Spider-Man,
for us.
Spider-Man's
Doctor Strange is coming back.
Black Panther 2 is going to come out.
Yeah, these characters have to come back for their movies because, I mean, obviously.
Unless they put them before and somehow make it work.
But
it doesn't it doesn't really make sense.
No, not at all. But my prediction for who's going to die isn't necessarily just one person. I'm saying two may die, because two people have already said they're done after this. Gwyneth Paltrow, she had a tweet saying that she's in my opinion, she's not too old.
This is Pepper, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But she tweeted saying, I'm too old for these types of movies. I'm going to leave it to the young kids for the action. And she's saying she's done after Endgame. So I'm thinking maybe she gives birth to a son or daughter and, passes away doing that.
Ooh.
Or something, because I mean, Tony, like I said in Infinity War, was talking about he had a dream, and as we know, his mind is a power.
Yeah.
And he said he had a dream where they had a kid, and I'm thinking maybe Pepper doesn't realize at the moment of, and like you said, time passed after the snap, and she's obviously still alive. We see her in the trailer, so time passed after the snap. If it did, and she could be 9 months pregnant by the time Tony gets back.
I mean, that's a good point. My prediction is obviously, I mean, I think most people have probably seen this tweet about Captain America.
He's already said he's out.
So he said he said he's out. It's going to be his last movie. But
How do you
I think what they're gonna do
is it the same way that you think that I think he's gonna?
what I think is gonna be a suicide mission. I think what he did in the first Captain America, where he took the ship and he had
bombarded
that
and
little picture.
He's gonna do something.
He's
like
gonna
that
do
with
something like that, or he's gonna do some kind of
sacrifice himself.
yeah,
to
sacrifice
kill Thanos.
himself to save everybody. And I think him and Tony Stark are gonna argue about it because I think they're both
Obviously.
gonna want to do it.
Obviously.
But obviously Captain America's gonna do it just from the tweets. But I also think it'll be one of those situations where we lose Black Widow
Okay.
and we lose Hawkeye.
Okay.
We lose Falcon. We're gonna lose his side of the Avengers.
Yeah.
And I think what it's gonna be like is we're not letting our captain or like the captain of the ship. We're going down with it.
Yeah.
And they're all gonna go down with him. They're all gonna maybe they have to like do something to kill Thanos, and they're all gonna be a distraction on the planet that they're gonna blow up or something.
Yeah.
And they're just gonna blow up the planet to kill him.
Yeah.
And they just need to be there so that he doesn't leave.
Okay. That makes sense.
I think it's going to be some kind of like thing where they're going to take out all of his characters that are with him, because they made those characters a big part. Which was it after Civil War
of
or before, or was it after? No, it was either after the second Avengers or after Civil War. I think it was Avengers 2. Where they made like Black Widow, Hawkeye, Falcon, like Captain America said he was going to leave for a while, but like they had that little group that they made, like you were talking about earlier.
That was during Civil War. They had the separate sides, and Black Widow
Yeah.
was actually on Iron Man's side just because
Yeah,
she's in
yeah,
the
yeah.
government. And then when Cap goes to leave the fight, Black Widow lets him go, so she has to leave because they're going to arrest her because
Yeah.
she performed or did treason.
So I think those group of characters, I think not just
are going to be
Captain America, but I think his group.
Yeah. I completely agree that Cap's gonna die. I'm about 999% sure that he's gonna die. Just because of the fact that he said that this is his last movie. He had a great time doing Captain America and stuff like that, and he's gonna move on from it. But my main reason for thinking he's gonna die is kind of a theory in its own too. One of the theories, I'm thinking they're going to go back in time somehow, and they're going to try to acquire all the stones before Thanos can, or go to him and destroy him, or get them and bring them to Wanda to destroy before Thanos can get to him. But they have to get the Soul Stone somehow.
Ooh, oh.
And so I'm thinking, as you said, Iron Man and Captain America are going to argue because obviously one of them. Iron Man feels the need to take every responsibility on his shoulders, so he's going to want to do it, just like with the nuke in New York, chasing after Thanos in Infinity War. He feels this need to just do it. He has to go do it, and that's the only way. He has to save everybody. And then Captain America, being the righteous soul he is going to want to jump, and he probably knows that Tony is probably going to have a kid, what I'm saying, like if that's the case. So he's like, Tony, you can't. I have to do this.
Yeah.
And so
that's a really good point.
He's probably going to fight with him and force him almost to push him off the edge.
So the things that I don't want to see, and this is kind of piggybacking off that, is I do not. Basically, you need to kill Captain America because I do not want to see a new actor for Captain America.
No, you can't. Well, if they kill him, then they're going to have to. If somebody revamps the movie, they're going to make a new character.
That's different. But I'm saying is don't keep him alive in the movie. And then
Chris Evans already said that he's pretty much leaving, and then
try to recast it.
Yeah, no.
It's okay. You can kill Captain America.
Either kill him or have Chris Evans come out with a tweet saying, "I was just kidding. I'm continuing."
Or either way. But please, besides a revamp, we do not want to see.
The only way that I would be accepted or acceptable seeing a new Captain America is if they go off the comic books and make Bucky Captain America.
That would be
because Bucky
might be a possibility.
Well, he's already said in an interview, like he's let some things slip, and he had an interview where he was like, I was just sitting in a boardroom one day, and they walked up and were like, "Oh, you're the Winter Soldier with your arm gone. Oh, you're gonna be Captain America," and then somebody made a comment and was like, "You can't just slip that information out there and not even act like it happened." So he's already said that he may be Captain America. It's been on the table. So
he probably knew what he was saying, but
he does come in. Bucky comes in as Captain America at another point in the comic book. So if they're going to recast him and leave Bucky in Avengers, don't let him get out of his contract and make him Captain America. But otherwise, I don't want to see him.
Right. So then my other thing that I don't want to see, and the reason I don't want to see it is because it's so it happens in every time travel movie, is the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
And how do you have the butterfly effect without going back in time? Well, I think that when they go back in time, and the reason they show these different in the trailers, you notice like Iron Man's on his first movie where he crashes and he's in the sand.
Yeah.
And Captain America's, he's at the carnival or whatever
well,
it is.
That was just a montage.
Right, but what I think that's for is that they have to go back in time
to these events.
But they have to be in their minds that they were in those scenes. They're not going to be in the mind of, oh, we know what's going to happen in the future. Yeah. What I think is that somebody's going to have to know.
What's
and
going
maybe
on.
That's someone that's in the quantum realm. They go through the quantum realm, whatever. But I don't want to see where there's like two Iron Man.
Yeah,
and they have to hide from each other. And they have to make sure these things happen and if something goes wrong, the whole universe blows up.
Yeah, no,
I don't want to see that. That's because that's so predictable in every time travel.
But they have
movie.
to hide from themselves. This isn't Back to the Future.
Yeah, I just don't
need to
want
hide
to see
from
that.
our character to. But I'm pretty sure that time travel is a thing that's going to happen.
It's going to have to be.
Only because, and the reason why I know that it's going to happen somehow is based off of hairstyles the entire movie. You see Black Widow with the short blonde hair that she has in Civil War and Infinity War, and then you see her with this. So I think there's either time travel or a lot of time has passed, at least a year's worth, because of the end of her hair is blonde with orange. So maybe she had the blonde hair and then it grew out. You know what I'm saying?
From the?
Because I think her natural hair color is that
what
orange
hair did
color.
she have in like Iron Man 1?
Iron Man 1 was the orange. She had the curly orange hair that we saw.
Maybe that's like in between.
That we saw in
maybe it's like
Avengers.
in between then and
she had
the short hair.
From Iron Man 1 all the way up until Civil War, she had the red hair. And then Civil War, she changed it to the blonde bob, is what I think they call it. It's a little weird that I know that, but she had the blonde bob.
The can I speak to your manager here?
Yeah, yeah. Can you put my son in? He really needs to play.
My name's Karen.
Yeah, always Karen. And she has a Yorkie that barks with a bow on its head.
No offense to any Karens.
Yeah, sorry, Karen. Don't ask for my manager. I am the manager. But yeah, so she changes hairstyles. Rocket changes outfits. Rocket actually goes through a multitude of outfits, and Captain changes his hairstyles. And the Avengers HQ changes because, like you were talking about with Ant-Man showing up in that video feed, a lot of people have been pointing out the fact that the timestamp up in the top corner is from
old.
1985 or something. So that's either 1985 is the time zone, like the time period, or just like if there's been 1,985 hours of footage or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I saw that pointed out.
Something to do with that. And if you notice when somebody pointed out that it said 1985 or whatever the time, it was like 1980 something. That is, it's Captain Marvel, Captain America, and the inside of Avengers HQ in that room they're sitting in is like an old study. And now I know HQ is not that old, but maybe some different timeline. And that's why they were surprised to see Ant-Man, because maybe they don't know who Ant-Man is because it's a different timeline. And Ant-Man shows up in a different time zone or time period.
Maybe they are going to have to go back in time and have the minds that they have. Maybe there's just some way where their characters aren't there or something. I don't know.
It's going to be a very touchy thing. I do know that they're going to go into the quantum realm somehow. I think that the cities in the quantum realm that I brought up before are going to be a key thing, like we see in Ant-Man, because Jane's, I think that's her name, Janet. Is it Janet? In Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I think so. I don't remember.
I can't remember. I literally drawing a blank on her first name, but she says that her mom says that there's cities in the quantum realm.
Well, that's
she actually got to that city.
She survived, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, and the cities are ancient. Like
Yeah.
the cities that are in there in the comic books are like like Egypt type cities that have technology, and they know how to time travel through the time slips. And so they have the quantum realm suits on. Obviously, they're going to go to the quantum realm somehow. I don't know what's going to happen in there. I honestly don't have a prediction for that because there's so many things that could happen. They could go into the quantum realm and get technology to come back out, or they can go into the quantum realm, find out how to go through the time slips, and then go through the time slip. I don't know.
I don't know. It's gonna be just
Insane.
Yeah, it's gonna be the feeling of watching it, and like I've read some tweets from the critics who have already seen it. You know, they saw it a few days ago, but a lot of them are saying it's kind of like a roller coaster of emotions where there's gonna be possible crying, but there's gonna be a lot of
there's gonna be
comedy.
Definite crying from me.
But it's gonna be just a really good feeling to finally almost get like a close of a journey that like a lot of people have gone through for the past 11 years since 2008.
Dude.
So it's cool that they're gonna and it's what's more exciting to see what's gonna happen from here.
Yeah.
How they're gonna turn.
How can you top Endgame? Because the feeling I have for the premiere of Endgame, how do you top that?
Right,
I'm so pumped right now for this movie that how do you make another movie? Like, I'm pumped for Spider-Man. It looks awesome. Mysterio is one of my favorite villains. But I don't have that same, like, heart racing. Like, when I saw, I know I said this before, but when I saw the Avengers Endgame trailer number 2, when that A dropped and the music started, I literally teared up. Because it was like a nostalgic thing for me because comic books are just a huge part of my life. And to be able to see it on the big screen, that Endgame, just all these characters coming together into one movie was like a huge emotional thing for me. And so it's like, how are you going to top that after this?
Right.
What villain's going to come out after this? Are we going to see him in Endgame?
And it's almost like they're going to take these movies and there's not going to be any other, combination like this ever again.
Well,
there can't be. There might be like,
there
cameos
could be,
of each other.
but it won't be the Avengers. I think it'll be like the new Avengers or
maybe
X-Men. They're gonna because they've got Dark Phoenix coming out.
Yeah,
in June,
just saw that.
And maybe they're if they get. I think what they're doing there is if they get the X-Men movies right, this one movie right, they're gonna just open the X-Men, and then you can have a huge lineup of heroes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but this might be, and I don't want to say it because this might be the peak. This movie we're gonna see might be the top.
The only way that they could bring this around again is like the new Avengers. Or something like that, because if you have the new Avengers, you're going to have a whole lineup of different characters. There's a few characters in the new Avengers that are the same, but you can still recast them if you're going to do this new series of movies. But I'm in complete agreement that I don't think anything's going to top the Infinity series.
And
it's been because it's been from 2008.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's going to be hard to continue this big train of movies for 20 years.
The premiere of Iron Man, like I said in the podcast, was awesome because the movie honestly wasn't amazing of a movie. I mean, that time period, the movies weren't really they weren't like great cinematic and stuff. But just the fact that movie came out, it was awesome. You know what I mean? And so
it did change a lot.
There's been a lot of hype from 2008 to now, and like that 10-11 year buildup, that's a lot of time, and they've spent a ton of time literally writing this, and it's I don't think you can talk
and I want to give credit to the whole series, the way that they've been able to tie everything in
together
is incredible.
Oh,
it's one of the best things that you ever seen. It's almost I think it's better than the Star Wars 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3 tie-in, but and they've went through a lot because they had to change a whole main character in Hulk.
Yes,
they've
changed the main character in Iron Man with Rhodey.
Yeah, they've added.
There's been a few bumps along the road.
Many characters throughout different movies,
and to be able to tie in 21 movies together is insane.
Yeah.
And then you're going to end it with this 22nd movie, and it's going to be great.
Well, I'm excited.
I'm beyond pumped. Like I said, I legitimately, you can believe me or not, I teared up when I saw the trailer, and I still do. I get goosebumps every time I watch it. The same trailer, and I think it's going to be a great All right, guys, so that's going to do it for me. Thanks for stopping by and tuning in. Thanks for Austin for coming in.
Thanks for having me. It was, it was really fun, having this 2 hour and a half conversation about something that we've, bonded over for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And, went to see these movies and talked about them like constantly. We finally get to put it on a platform where, we're just hanging out. We're hanging out talking, and
this is what we're doing on a daily basis.
Yeah, we have these conversations all the time, and we finally just are able to put it into recording.
Yeah. Well, so I'm going to be doing more podcasts not related to Endgame. I'm still going to be doing MCU movies, so just tune into those. I'm going to try and do them every Sunday. I'm not going to do it every day like I've been trying to do with this. But yeah, thanks for stopping by, and hope you guys enjoyed.
DC sucks!